Good morning, folks, and welcome back to another 4am. Okay, so on our last video, we were looking at the modifier screw. This time it's going to be skin. Now, just applying it, you can see it does some quite funky features. So I'm just going to talk through of what everything is and then have a little play with it. So let's turn that off just for now. So the skin modifier uses vertices and edges to create a skinned surface, using a per vertex radius to better define the shape. The output is mostly quads, although some triangles will appear around intersections. It is a quick way to generate base meshes for sculpting and or smooth organic shapes with arbitrary topology. Note, faces in the original geometry are ignored by the skin modifier, so it's going to create something completely different for you. So the interface, we have create armature. Create an armature on top of an object. Each edge becomes a bone. So if we do that and create an armature, each one of these should now be a bone. All bones. Then we go into here and we can do poses and stuff like that, but again, this is something that we haven't really looked at the moment, so it's not something I'm going to go into right now. Note, in the root vertex, if the root vertex has more than one adjacent edge, an extra bone will be created to serve as the root. This function does the following. A new armature object is added with bones matching the input mesh. So when I've done that and then created armature, as you've seen before, when I grabbed hold of this one, there's actually, did it before, it can create double bones in the same place basically. Weight groups are added to the input mesh. The skin modifier propagates these weights to an output as well. So let's have a look at weight paint. No, it didn't show anything different to me, but okay. An armature modifier is added directly below the skin modifier, so that the bones appear inside. Note that the only armature modifier is being applied after. Hold on. Note that the armature modifier is being applied after the skin modifier because it should only deform the output, whereas if it were above the skin modifier, it might change the resulting topology. Then we have branch smoothing. A branch point is a vertex with 3 or more connected edges. These areas tend to produce more complicated topology, some of which may overlap. The branch smoothing setting relaxes the surface around these points with the side effect of shrinking the surface. So to create an armature, edit mode, once you create an armature you can't actually modify the mesh at all. Okay, so there we go, we don't have to, that's fine. So it just makes it obviously a little smoother. Smooth shading. Output faces with smooth shading rather than flat shading. The smooth flat shading of the input geometry is not preserved. So smooth shading, which is pretty much the same as pressing, yeah, because like the other one, the smooth doesn't work on this inside the modifier. So you do smooth over here instead. Okay. Oops, apologies. Okay, so smooth shading, selected vertices, these underneath here. By default, a branch vertex is, let me have a little look, mark or clear loose, so these two here. Now, I'm not sure when these will actually appear. But they will appear. By default, a branch vertex with 3 or more connected edges, will generate extra edge loops along adjacent edges in order to keep the output tight. Branches can be made loose by clicking Mark Loose, which will allow the output to stretch between all adjacent vertices. This can be disabled again by Clear Loose with the vertex selected. Mark Root. Marking a vertex as root causes that vertex to be used for calculating rotations for the connected limbs. Root vertices also affect the armature output. They will be used as the origin for the root bones. Roots are shown in the 3D view with a red dashed circle around the vertex. Each set of connected vertices should have one root node. Mark root enforces the one root per set rule, so it's not necessary to manually unmark roots. Equalize radii. Makes the skin radii of selected vertices equal to each axis. Symmetry axes X, Y, and Z. Symmetry axes checkboxes are used to keep the output topology symmetrical in their respective axes. In other words, using it avoids merging triangles across an axis unless the triangles form a symmetric quad. Note: these symmetry axes checkboxes do not add geometry flipped across an axis. For that, the modifier should be used, typically placed above the skin modifier. The usage: add the skin modifier to a mesh, disable limit selection to visible in the 3D view so that you can see the vertices inside the new geometry. So inside the 3D view, is that one. So you can see each side of it. I believe that's limit selection. Limit selection, yeah. Okay, the skin modifier uses ordinary vertices and edges as input. All of the regular input mode tools such as extrude, subdivide, grab, scale and rotate can be used when building a skinned mesh. The radius of selected vertices can be adjusted in the transform panel of the properties region. Okay, so we've got a little project here which I'm going to try and do. So, nope, not a plane. Again, I'm just following one of these little tutorial things that they've given me. Okay, let's go into face mode. Let's go back to 1. It's there. Okay, so in the modifiers menu, add a skin modifier. Tab into edit mode and start extruding. So this may not be very good, guys, but we're going to make something happen. So let's scale that down a little bit more. Okay. Ah, okay, I see what you want to do here. So delete faces. Add in a cube, okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to delete edges. Not scale. Delete edges. Leaves us with one edge. And then what I'm going to do is rotate that around the z-axis 90. And then let's see if we can add in a skin. Okay. Smooth. Okay, and now we have our mark loose, clear loose, mark loose, equalize radii. Okay. So let's go to vertice. And there's that red circle that we were talking about before. Now if I extrude, and as you twist it, the whole shape actually twists with it, which is pretty cool. Can't join them that way though. Yep, we can. And that's just created as a nice little something. Okay, so let's go back to in here. Delete. Add. And let's add in a curve. Because I hate working with curves, but this might be the best way to show this. And we can't add a skin onto a curve. Oh, that was very good to know. Let's do a cylinder. Rotate along the Y 90. Shrink that right the way down. And add skin. So it affects each thing completely differently. So if we turn that back on, you can now see where that is, and we can start extruding. And just keeping your extrude on, by keeping extruding, you're going to create something fantastic, really. And that's pretty much it. Your skin modifier basically just creates something, well, it creates skin around an object. Yeah, it's as simple as that, really. So that's your skin modifier. In my opinion, I'd probably use the skin modifier on the armature on a person, because that makes sense to me. However, it may not be how they want you to actually, how they want you to use this, but it's a way of using it, and there's no really right or wrong way of using this modifier. Each person will use a modifier differently. Okay, so next we have solidify, and we are almost at the end of generate. Oh, excuse me. So solidify will be next, and as always, if you want to like, comment or subscribe, we are getting a lot more views on the channel now, and unfortunately I haven't had another subscriber in a while either, but yes, it will pick up, I hope. as I'm doing more and more of these videos and we start creating stuff and doing different things. So another plan that I've got is if I go to okay, so I've got quite a lot of stuff in here that I want to be doing. Now on the video I showed you like a little shop thing that I was doing. This is the sort of thing that I'm going to be creating, and this I want it to be like kind of a rundown thing. I'm not going to have these shutters on there though. It's not going to be like metal or anything. It's going to be completely wood. So I've got a few ideas of stuff to do. This is going to be a good one to create. I think that's going to be very good, to be honest. It's a lot of cubes, just simple extruding, mirror modifier. Basically create half of it and then just flip it around basically and connect them both together. That's how that's looking to me. Now the big part of it that I want to do is I want to be creating a game on an oil rig. That's what I want to be doing. I've got two things in mind, and it's like there's the oil rig part and then there's the broken down city. And I'm thinking if I can make like two parts of it, and then you can travel from the city, and then you have like a little screen, like a little video in between. When you've finished in the city, you then travel out onto here, onto an oil rig. That's the plan. I'm a long way away from it just yet. I have just started creating my city. So if I just show you, I've just started trying to figure out how to use all the textures and stuff like that. It doesn't look great at the moment, yep, I admit, but it's something that I am working on to create that. Now, the other part of it is we have no light in here. I like to use Hemi. I always use Hemi. Stuff's gone hidden up there, that's why. There we go. So this is a big map, so you know I'm going to need a few things on there probably, but these are two of my small two of my buildings that I've built, and I'm hoping to use. So as you see, you know, I've actually used the same building twice, but I'm just going to do a few little extras on this one just to make it different from there, and you can see kind of the scale size of my map. The map itself is actually 60 meters by 60 meters, but these houses are, well, these shops are 3.5 by 3.5 by 2 meters, and this is going to be a big like map that we can just run round. I know you can put these into Unity, so I've been told anyway, so you know that's going to be something that I'm going to be looking at as well. Now, one of the things with this is I can actually higher this up more and more. But yeah, that's just to show you know that I am on the way. Oops. I am on the way to creating that game, and it will be done shortly. Well, probably not shortly, but it will be done at some time. it is going to be a very big game, this one. As you can see on the back here, I've also done sort of a delivery route there. So I mean, this is all done to scale size of human life, basically. Oh, there's a few little ways you can mess around with a few different things to get light onto your screen, which is quite cool. I think I'll just stick with the Hemi for now. But yeah, this is going to be a big, huge game, and hopefully once it's all done and I get using the textures correctly, I'm creating things in different slots, and then I'm just going to simply move to number 1 and then go to number 1, and then that will then be along the X. Kind of like that. And all the buildings are going to be textured right the way around. I just need to learn a little more about this stuff. But yeah, if you want to like, comment or subscribe, then that will be great. Thank you very much, folks, and Solidify is next.